What if all of life is the observation and study of waves? Like waves compelling and pushing and stacking on each other or bouncing against each other. What is a wave in the ocean without the content of the ocean to produce it? Like, doesn't a wave need to stand on something else? What's it standing on? Talk about the double slit, double helix, no, double slit experiment of observation. Like, when does a thing move from potential into existence? When does it move from probability into fact? When does it move from energy into a different form of energy? um, there are no countries anymore. There can't be. There. See, there was this shining era of enlightenment where the moral, righteous, upright, honorable guys worked amongst themselves to have some kind of baseline code of conduct to future their legacies and keep law and order. And some might say they were right, and some might say they were the fucking villains of the world. But they were the guys that took it upon themselves, had the wherewithal and the position to, you know, guide mankind. And they did that until it decayed and parasites came in and took over all of the estates and legacies and all the goodies that the previous owners had amassed and switched on. Give greedy people enough time, and I tell you what, they will. They'll crack any nut. And so, whether due to aging or due to bureaucracy and selling out, um, all of the tools of our captivity, guidance, influence, direction are now in the same power circle of ruthless, greedy parasites. It doesn't leave a whole lot of room for nations, considering all the nations, the borders don't count, the legal borders count. And who runs all the laws? The same one that runs all the banks. If the UN can do what they want, the CDC, that fucking bullshit organization, has some kind of authority. If lobbyists are still running every campaign for every candidate in the modern world, then, money's doing all the talking. It always has been. Money, 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 money. But it wasn't ever so consolidated until, well, our current condition of fractional reserve lending, which is basically usury, which is, whatever. There's no coming back from this. Like, when all of the resources in the world, all the means of production, all the means of education, all the means of technological advancement, development, when all the means of travel and refinement, when they're all under the same umbrella, that is going to solidify, crystallize, it will streamline. And maybe it won't be perfectly functional, but it will streamline itself. It will grow to be that way. It already has. And so, breakaway countries is kind of, I don't know, a pipe dream. Like, what really if you want to be idealistic, would have to happen would be that we'd have to have some subvert at the top that would take helm and guide the whole machine into the swamp, or put the motorcycle on a treadmill. What I'm trying to say is that, like, there's no countries anymore. It's already globo homo. Okay, corporations run the world. All the zillionaires, they're puppets. They might as well be corporations themselves, or banks, or just bank accounts. A rich person is just a place to store wealth that can improve, another way to gain interest, right? If they put all their money into this guy and he's super popular, then their money they invested in him goes up. And when they don't need him anymore, they sell him out and his popularity tanks. Popularity is another product. The cult of popularity is based off of greed and want, So what am I trying to say? That this process will streamline itself so well that it will crystallize so hard that it will eventually shatter. Because we're talking about waves, right? And there are pre-existing waves. The waves thin out. If the waves should hit a barrier, they would reflect back. Each wave is a barrier. Synchronicity. Like, we don't have to create the finish line. The finish line's there. We have to find our tempo and observe the movement of the waters of this world and this life around us. If we dismiss the elements and think of everything as waves, then it's not the difference between air and underwater and whatever outer space is. It's the difference of, it's the gradient of friction. So, like, actualize. See, I've been really stumbling with, I create my own problems. And it's not just like, well, I'm sabotaging myself subconsciously. No, it's like bigger than that. I project my own problems. I create my own calamities. I'm getting the impression that life really is much more a hologram than the Matrix is becoming less and less fictional every day. But then you have to prescribe to, well, you don't have to, but I would suggest prescribing to a path. That even if you don't believe in predestination and fate and everything, then you still have to believe in cause and effect. And that, if you leave a boulder on a hill in right condition, the boulder will roll down the hill. And if you leave a dog hungry enough in a room with food and give it enough time, it will make an attempt. This is nature. This is the rules, the program, the code of our reality, the causality, and remember. And if you can't really create the end, but project the end that you already had within you the entire time, then what you're doing is you're amplifying your own signal. So, like, do you have a predestined, like, ultimate experience mapped out? Like, I guess you do. But then it's how committed are you to experiencing that authentically? I feel like I'm muddling my point here. What is the point of living if you ignore life? Focus on every part of it that you can. Practice focusing, strengthen that. Focus on the details in your walk. Focus on details in your dreams. Focus on the meanings of things. Focus on not just a state, but the transitions of states. See what happens. Try to focus on, lately, I'm trying to see what's absent. Like, what am I not thinking of? What hasn't been happening? I know that's, but the idea is that, like I said at the beginning, I'm trying to observe these waves and understand them. One of my favorite books, Siddhartha by Hess, in his quest for knowledge and speaking with and traveling with and joining some of the wisest people in the world, he gets the bulk of his enlightenment and his transcendentalism from being a river guide and just staring at the waves and listening to the water for years and years and years. And I think what that really means is, because water is reflective, that he just listened to himself and what his true nature really was. Like, a blind, deaf, dumb man can still find peace and transcend and ascend, and, it is within us. What was it? Sisyphosity? I don't remember the word, I never will. But the idea that you will never understand anything outside yourself, because how could you? You'll never know that anything is anything. You'll only know that you are you. That's it. Kind of spooky shit. But if it is all waves, ride them, right? I guess I should have just said that. I would have saved 10 minutes. I love you guys. God bless.